What's up, RotoGrinders? Dean here, Dean78904. That is the daily fantasy handle that we're going to be firing at some Fanduel and some Draftkings contests this early morning. Ungodly hour here in the Colorado, 9 o'clock in the morning. Blender, you got 10 o'clock, right? You're Central, is that correct?
No, I'm Eastern. You always screw this up.
Well, you're in Louisville? Or close?
Yeah, Louisville is one of the cities furthest in the Eastern time zone still.
All right, well, I'm sorry.
I swear, we've had this. This is like probably the fourth time we've had this conversation.
You know, I'm very forgetful at my old age. Apparently, I don't know. I feel like Louisville is the whole state in East Coast, or it chops up at some point.
No, it's like right at the if I drive about 45 minutes west, it's Central. If you go down to like where Nashville is, Bowling Green, you're kind of going in a diagonal, and then you end up in the Central time zone. That's why it's like during the summer, the sun doesn't set until like 9 o'clock, 9:15. I mean, like it's the latest possible because we're right at the right edge of that Eastern time zone.
Typically, Blender, what would you be doing right now if there was there's no early slates? You'll be jumping on 11 o'clock, and what would you be talking about for the people?
I'd be talking about whatever people want in the chat. I'd be waiting for the thummy thumbs, typically in the morning, right? To hit that thumbs up button. I'd be waiting for the new people, to hit the subscribe button, right? And then I'd be waiting for everyone to hit that notification bell to know when we go live. Because like tomorrow, it's going to be a different time, like 11:45. Because we're still covering GrindersLive for the split slate action tomorrow. So to know when we go live, instead of showing up at 11 going, where's the show? It's like, well, the thumbnail says 11:45. Hit that thumbs up button. Hit the notification bell. You know when GrindersLive goes on later in the day, crunch time, all those shows. So that's the first thing I'd be doing in the morning, telling them, talking about how you help us out and you keep in touch and you do everything. And then I take questions from the chat. Talk about. I pretty much, Dean, on the pregame show, outside of Mondays and Fridays. So Mondays, James comes on, and we have typically more high-level discussion between the both of us and the chat as well. And on Friday, I now converted it into like a free MMA show. Talk about MMA lineup construction and stuff like that for the cards on the weekend. And then Tuesday through Thursday, it's kind of like hodgepodge, whatever happens to be going on. I mean, obviously, been baseball for God knows how long, but it could be anything. I mean, it could be how to use the tools. It could be I've been doing a lot of stuff on Prize Picks and Underdog and those types of sites, and showing mathematical concepts and how-to type of stuff for that, and dispelling myths and correcting people's mistakes. But I mean, it could be anything. I mean, I've done lineup HQ lessons. I've done live builds. I've done we have an early slate. It's a 4-game slate. Let's build 3 lineups that I'm literally going to. I'm going to show you. I'm going to be on the air.
The whole lineup though, Blender, right? Did you leave a couple spaces open?
No, I say these are the lineups that I'm playing. Look,
okay.
I built them.
I thought that was in the rules. Like you can't. I mean, I don't know.
I'm not telling them to. I tell them specifically, don't dupe me, bro. So like, no. I'm like, no. This is what. Most of the time, I'm doing that for the smaller field stuff. So it's like this is like for the 121. Like I'm not even playing. I'm not doing a large field build. I've done that before. But like, I'm not telling people to play this lineup. I'm saying that, okay, let's look at plus EV lineups and then go look at these hundreds of ones that we could choose from. Which ones am I going to choose? Well, I could choose God knows how many of them, but let's choose 3. Okay, if I got this guy in here, maybe do I want him in all 3 of my lineups? No, I don't. Do I want Cal Quantrill tonight in all 3 of my lineups? Probably not. But I may take a shot on Cole Reagan's, right? Maybe not in all 3 of my lineups because I'm a little bit risk intolerant, like stuff like that. So it's like I'm not telling them, okay, this is the lineup to play because you could probably make hundreds of them.
Do you want to say what's up in the chat? Like you said, give you the thummy thumbs. Blender wants us thummy thumbs. Hit the like button, subscribe, turn on those notifications. Just turn that thumb up. We do appreciate it. Larry in chat's asking about best leverage stack for today. Choke Hold'em says Oakland. We're not talking that slate right now. And you mentioned Cole Reagan's. That's later tonight. We're talking about.
Did I do this again? I did the same thing again. I can't believe I did the same thing again as last week.
It's amateur hour over there, Blender. Come on. That's almost.
Yeah, I literally did this last week because I load up lineup HQ and I assume it's on the slate that's the closest. But if there's an early, it always defaults to like whatever is considered the main slate. And to me, the early slate is the main slate. To me, I think the early slate is a better slate. So yeah. So now I have to do my 2-minute, 3-minute thing all over again to figure out what the hell's going on. But
I'll take a second, knock it out. Kyle Schwarber not playing baseball today. He is still out. Wilson Contreras is still out. The sites, not surprisingly, are doing something different. DK is making it all one slate as far as the early games. There's a 6-gamer. It's kind of sort of chopped in two. What is chopped in two on FanDuel? 2 3-game slates on FanDuel. We have the lineups for the first set of 3 games already. We do not have the lineups for the second set of 3 games. And again, we'll be trying our best to cover and jump back and forth. But FanDuel, 2 sets of 3. And DK has got a 6-gamer as far as the early slate. And I see Tony in chat asking about if Crunch Time's coming out after the show. Yes, taking y'all straight up to lock Crunch Time. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth will be hosting that. Tell you what's going on weather-wise. I don't think there was nothing really dramatic that's worth talking about. Weather can be fickle. Things change. But as of Ross' article, and I'll go ahead and drop it in chat, nothing really going on. And y'all get 2-time millionaire winner Dave Potts, as well as TJ Zwarych, back from his, I presume he got married. I don't know if there's any shenanigans. I assume he's good to go. So congratulations to him. We'll talk to him about that briefly. But yeah.
I hope he used the poop bags well. Even at the wedding, I got him the poop bags, not for the dogs, for the wedding.
Well, yeah, you got to add some context to that because people probably necessarily were watching the show a month.
This is a serialized show, Dean. This is like watching like Game of Thrones or something. You have to watch. You have to start from the beginning, right? You have to start from the first episode, so you get all the references.
It's canon. This episode, is it not? I thought
all the episodes are canon.
So yeah, we got roped in. We got finagled in to buying. We shouldn't say it that way. We're happy to buy him wedding gifts, and I got him a. Oh geez, what are those little things? God, I can't.
Did you get him like an action figure or something?
Yeah, but there's a certain term that people are collecting them as well, and the pop.
Toys? Is that the toy? Toys the term.
I don't remember what the word is. Somebody in chat might remember. Maybe producer Steve remembers, but it's a famous collectible term these days, and everybody. I can't believe I'm just drawing a blank, but you bought him poop bags for his dog.
Well, I only bought him. See, I really did not care about buying him a gift. Like if it wasn't the only reason I did is because we looked on his wedding registry, on his gift registry, and we thought it was ridiculous that like, oh, wedding gift. He had on the registry a thing of 500 dog poop bags.
Yeah.
For like $22 or something on Amazon. So I'm like, that's a wedding. That's a wedding gift, right? So I thought it was so stupid. So like for the bit, fine, $22 for the bit, I'll do it.
Devin in chat says we're on a Game of Thrones level of season 3. Yeah. So when is the Red Wedding episode of GrindersLive coming? When's that going to happen? What's going to go down there? I don't want to be on that episode.
The Red Wedding happens almost every day when like half the chalk fails or something, right? Right when a pitcher gets injured or something. That's the Red Wedding. All my lineups are dead.
Funko Pop was the answer. Thank you, producer Steve, all over it. Yeah, why couldn't I think of that term? But yeah, I bought him a Funko Pop of, I don't even know. I thought it was a Game of Thrones character, to be honest, but I couldn't tell you. And yes, B shot in chat. Almost definitely Kirkwood spoiled the Red Wedding episode for somebody, if not me. I actually watched Game of Thrones like after, I think I jumped on like season 6 or something like that. So I had to kind of catch up through the app. But you a big Game of Thrones guy? Do you care about a sequel coming up this
I guess the House of Dragon or whatever? I mean, I'll watch it, I guess. I mean, I watched Game of Thrones from the beginning when it was on. But I mean, I watched it live for like the first 4 seasons. And then kind of like I forgot about season 5 and 6 and kind of before season 7 just caught up on seasons 5 and 6.
Yeah, apparently it's a prequel going down this Sunday. I think it's the Targaryen, their sort of history, but I haven't dug into it. But like, I'm sure I'll watch it. I was shocked that I liked the show. It's not really my MO. It's not my wheelhouse, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was really well storytelling.
What's the point of prequels? Don't we already know what's going to happen?
Well, I mean, you can ask that question, but it's preposterous because we just saw how good prequels could be with Better Call Saul. That was incredible television.
I haven't watched that either. I know what's going to happen.
Oh, dude!
Does seriously? Saul die? No, he's in the. Does the chicken guy go? No, he doesn't go away, right? Because he's in. Gus is in right. I
Gustavo
know the
Fring?
characters that are in Breaking Bad, so I have no jeopardy if they're in like, oh my god, he's being kidnapped or something like that. He's gonna be fine.
That's the brilliance of the storytelling, to be honest. Like they make scenes suspenseful even when you know like they're going to get out of it in some way. And there's also some other characters they introduced that like may or may not make it out in the world, that kind of thing. So you've seen Breaking Bad and you won't watch Better Call Saul for that reason, because that's an absurd.
No, that's not the reason. It's just I haven't gotten around to watching Better Call Saul.
Oh, well, get around to it. What are you doing? Watching soccer all day?
No, I got stuff to do. I got lineups to build.
What do you mean you have lineups to build? You can play anybody you want.
Right. What am I supposed to do? Just sit around at 3:00 in the afternoon watching Better Call Saul?
Yes. Like, why would yes, that is what you're supposed to be doing. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't be. If you, I would be, I would pay hundreds of dollars to like erase the memory of watching Better Call Saul from my brain. I can watch it all over again with fresh eyes. I would love that. But yeah, so I'm jealous that you get to watch it, without knowing anything going in cold. I'll watch it again someday. I'm sure.
Well, I know what happened on Breaking Bad. I watched that show, so I know that there's be some drug things. There's going to be those twins, right? The guy from the beginning that ends in the first season of Breaking Bad. I mean, like, I know the characters.
Devin's talking about, shout out to Cardi. Cardi yesterday was all over Morton, who was just awesome yesterday. He had 12 strikeouts against the Mets. Sorry, producer Steve. And I saw somebody in chat talking about they took down some money with an Oakland stack. Where did that go? Adrian, $600 last night with an Oakland stack. Shout out to Adrian. So the slate today, did I give you enough time to get your right pages up?
It takes me 60 seconds to run this. Yeah.
It's a weird slate, man. It's a 6-gamer. We're missing some of the studs because, day after a night game, no Contreras for Chicago. Carrera is still dinged for Minnesota. No. Carrera's in there. Polanco's still dinged for Minnesota. Buxton's in there, which is kind of sort of somewhat surprising because sometimes they rest him. No Joey Votto, no Kyle Schwarber. I think the most popular pitcher in this slate is going to be Tyler Mahle, kind of sort of by default, but also he's pretty good and the matchup's good. How do you feel about Tyler Mahle chalk?
Not good, typically, right? He's someone that, I mean, he's up against KC, so that doesn't. I mean, the thing about Mahle is that he could get blown up. Right, so he's a much higher variance pitcher. Well, at least when he was on the Reds, right, he would get blown up a lot. But of course, he's not playing in the Cincinnati Small Park anymore. So he's typically from my past, looking up stats, is that he's typically susceptible to power lefties. And looking at that Royals lineup, I mean, Michael Massey doesn't really scare me. I mean, I guess Vinny Pasquantino. I mean, to me, the Royals lineup is like, what?
The Italian Nightmare, a.k.a. Vinny Linguini, a.k.a. the Italian Salami.
Is that his actual nickname?
The Italian Nightmare is the one that George Brett gave him.
Okay, but that's true. You didn't just come up with that.
No, but like everybody else that jumps on these shows likes to give him some sort of like a meat reference or, Tortellini Tuesday, that kind of thing. It's Wednesday. I don't really know what goes with that as far as.
Okay, I just don't want to. It's a horrible nickname, so I just at least didn't want to make fun of you for making it.
Italian Nightmare is bad.
The Italian Nightmare, I don't know.
That's pretty good. Okay, fair enough. Continue.
But yeah, to me, Mahle is just. I mean, you got Melendez, Witt, Perez, Pasquantino, and then pretty much a bunch of scrubs. Michael Taylor, I guess, is okay power-wise. Just that the lineup doesn't have that much power. I mean, like, it's hard. Mahle typically gets blown up by that. So I'm fine with that. I just want to highlight that if you're looking at, depending on the projection source you're looking at, the Twins don't let their starters go as long as other teams. So, like, let me take a look here. Just refresh, because last night we the bat had Mahle at 106 projected pitch count, and just my intuition says that's too high.
105. Let's hit the refresh. That's last I saw was 105 or so. They did trade for him, and
99. Okay. Cardi bumped him down to 99. Okay, I think that's a little bit more reasonable. 99 is okay. So I'm looking at the current projection right now. That is at a 99 pitch count. Then Yeah, I'm fine with it. I mean, do I want to play a chalky one? I think there are multiple pitchers you could choose on the slate. I think there's many viable pitchers. There's nothing that stands out. There's a flaw in everything that you could choose. So like to me, my pitching pool would be something like Clevenger, Molly, Suarez, Kirby, and then if you want to take and maybe Smiley at 7,700. And then if you really want to take a shot, then you take like a Corey Abbott or a Daniel Lynch. But I think based on the lineups that are going to be out for this slate, you don't like, dude, you could spend whatever you want on pitching. I mean, you could spend whatever you want anywhere. I
Salary
mean,
doesn't really matter in this slate. I think we just say that.
Right. So that's why I look at Corey Abbott at 5,500 and go, yeah, it projects pretty well in the bat. But I'd rather have the extra 5-6 points in raw points than leave 2,000 on the table. It's very hard. It's very hard to spend all of your money, all of your salary on this slate on DraftKings, at least. Fanduel must be a joke then.
Well, again, Fanduel's goofy.
Oh, they're doing the 3-game. Yeah, who cares about Fanduel? They're not even having a full slate.
Well, I believe Fanduel will be sponsoring Crunch Time today, so Roth will care about Fanduel, and TJ will care about Fanduel, and Cheese will care about Fanduel.
But it'll only be for a 3-game slate.
And also, the Fanduel single entry series continues. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, Blender, if you've been partaking. The $1 variety, the $50 variety are going on. That's for the night slate. Reserve those early because especially the 50 has been selling out. Hopefully you've got up to a good start, but your top 4 scores throughout the week. You got yourself a chance to move on to Chicago, win yourself a free trip to Chicago, and a chance to win $10K out of a $50,000 prize pool if you happen to win the single entry series this week. How do you do that? If the top score amongst your top 4 scores for the week, Monday through Sunday, you can throw away your bottom 3, depending on assuming you sign up for every single slate. And you finish first, you get yourself a free trip to Chicago, get yourself a chance to win 10,000 smackers.
Dean, would you say the single entry series is something you couldn't put a price on?
I mean, if you really want to bust out a calculator, you probably could figure it out. Like, I mean, I don't want to take the time to put a price on it, but it is, I think, an easy way of saying it, like an all-encompassing way of saying it, just it's added value. How about that?
Okay, I'm trying to make fun of you. Obviously,
I know.
You can't put a price
on. Tasha in chat won the $5 single entry series on Sunday, turned $5 into 2,000. Cool, awesome, congrats. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. I mean, I'm assuming you're with me as well. As many single entry contests that they have. That's the first thing I want to play. I like the single entry, 3 entry max, that kind of stuff, much more than the large field stuff. I think you're with me on that, but actually, you just like the fire. You do your MME stuff as well, so I guess it depends on the day.
I do everything, right? But I mean, in general, the lowest variance. I mean, it's all high variance, but the lower ones, where you get the big best bang for your buck, would be single entry 3 max contests that have a flatter payout structure that have the lowest rake. So like if you could find that combination, like that you'll get the biggest bang for your buck. The large field contests, yeah, there's a lot of crappy lineups. There's a lot of EV in those contests, but it's all at the top. And it's so large field that you're going to be losing a lot before you win, even if you're doing well. And it takes a toll on you mentally. So like, unless you're prepared to lose a lot on the, to win once, right? Because that's really all you're looking to do. Like in NBA last season, Dean. NBA, I was down in GPPs all year, all season, right? Just slow. I mean, sometimes I get a small spike up, but still not above the profit line. And then like in March, I came in like first and third in like on FanDuel's large field and made like 48,000 in one day. And then it's like, oh, now I went from like March, like I was like down like $5,000 to now I'm up like 40 grand on the season. Like that's as long as you're building lineups to do that once a season, and I'm not playing 150 at a time. So like I only need to really do it once. Like that's large field play. So if your brain is not set for that type of, I'm going to play 150 slates, knowing that I'm going to lose most of them, and hopefully, like the 10% of times that I actually win money, that I win a lot. Like if you have that mind, then that's large field GPPs for you. But the single entry 3 max stuff is more for, can you win $100,000 on a night? No, but you could win 10,000. You could win 15,000,
10,000
5,000.
is not bad. I'll take 10,000.
Right.
Tyler Mahle, most popular pitcher in the slate. I'm looking at our ownership stuff right now. 45% on DK. Got a roster too. He is, to me, the pretty clear best option. Like Clevenger,
I don't think it's
Miami.
clear. I don't think it's clear, Dean.
I mean, okay, is Clevenger the next guy against Miami?
Yeah, I would say so. Like if I was building a cash lineup on DraftKings, I would probably be playing Mahle and Clevenger. But I mean, for GPP, like the distributions of these players are not that dramatically different. That an extra 2 points in median makes that much of a difference with the ownership. Like from my ownership, like Mahle is over. Like Mahle, like I have in the bad ownership is Mahle at 44, and then Clevenger, Suarez, and Kirby, both around in the mid-20s. So it's like, other than Mahle, the other three pitchers, like if he's like, I don't want to play Clevenger, I want to play Suarez, and it's a projection difference of 1.5 points in the median, like what do I care? Then fine, then play Ranger Suarez or play George Kirby, right? If you wanted to have Pablo Lopez is 16% owned, you want to take a shot on him? I mean, the projection differences between these guys, like if I go from a Lynch, like the difference is, like, let me list all these pitchers. And I'll go, okay, Abbott, Clevenger, Mahle, Smiley, Lynch, Suarez, Kirby, Lopez, Stripling, Lodolo. So basically everyone outside of Voth and Toussaint have a projection median-wise of in between 12.5 and 20.5. So there's just an 8-point difference between the top and obviously salary matters. So like obviously
it doesn't matter that much though.
Right. It doesn't matter. Right. It doesn't matter that much. But if you wanted to take a shot on Nick Lodolo, even though according to the bat projections, he has like a 5-point lower median than Mahle, but he also has a 4 times less ownership. He is 11% to 44%. So that it already makes up for that. So if you wanted to do that in GPP, where you're not prioritizing a median projection, you're prioritizing leverage, you're prioritizing relative value, not absolute value, then go for it. But I think in cash games, you're gonna prioritize the medians. But even in the players that I listed, like in the Clevenger, Mahle, Suarez, like if play 2 of them, like that at worst you're giving up a point or 2 at worst if you don't agree with the bat projection or something like that. So if you prefer to play one over the other, then Kirby. If you want Kirby is, I think, safer, like has a safer distribution, but it's not as wide. You're not going to get as much upside for 8,500. So if you feel safer, I don't think it's that bad, because when we get to the bats you could do. I mean, dude, you could do anything you want.
Are you saying a matchup against the Angels is safe? Is that you're suggesting there, Kirby?
Yeah, the Angels aren't very good.
No. His issue is pitch count, right?
Right.
We're looking at 42% on him. What are we going to get? Around 80, 85 pitches, give or take, as far as Kirby. Seattle is making a run for a playoff spot, obviously, but they also they don't want to put too many innings in this guy. What do we have here as far as Kirby as a projection? 90 pitches. That seems a little bit ambitious to me.
About 5 innings, five innings or so. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, if you're playing cash games on DK, I think Mahle and Clevenger is the pretty clear pairing. Would you agree with that?
It's not clear. It's that you're making it clear. Like,
cash,
oh my God, you're
cash games.
No, even in cash games, when you say the word clear, I view it as like you'd be crazy to do anything else, and I don't think you'd be crazy to. It's not that clear. Yes, it's the most popular and probably optimal, but is it clearly? If I see Ranger Suarez or Kirby in your cash lineup, you're going to be banished to whatever. You're going to be banished to some island somewhere and be put with the lepers. Like, it's not that clear.
You want to dig into Clevenger against the Marlins? What do you want to say about that?
It's the Marlins.
They're pretty bad.
That much. Hello.
Ranger Suarez versus Cincinnati. Not a great ballpark to pitch in, but that Cincinnati's pretty rough. What do you think of Ranger Suarez?
Yeah, he's a strikeout upside. But I mean, also you're gonna end up with kind of pitch count issues with him also. So like, but the upside is that he could even be efficient and strike out 8 against the Cincinnati lineup.
Lopez versus San Diego, not necessarily an ideal matchup. Good ballpark. Lopez traditionally a pretty good pitcher, hasn't been special of late, but in the mix. You mentioned Lodolo. More of a tournament guy for sure. He's got K upside. He walks too many guys as well. I think if you're running MME, of course, he's in the mix for you. How are you approaching pitchers tonight? This is what we have. What's going to be?
To me, the pitchers don't matter. It's all about the stats. To me, basically anyone other than Voth and Toussaint could possibly end up in my lineup. Now, I'm only playing one lineup today. Okay, so I'm only playing the 121, the single entry, whatever the hell, right? So most likely I'm not going to play Lodolo or Stripling or Lopez. But any of the other, it really comes down to what fits in. I probably don't end up playing Abbott or Lynch. If I was playing large field, maybe I do. It's only because you don't need the salary. Like I almost wish it was another slate where it's like, yeah, sure, I'll take a $5,500 Corey Abbott against the Cubs. That he projects the best point per dollar in the bat, but like I don't need it. Like if I plug him in, it's like I end up playing like all the most expensive players like in my lineup, and like that's not necessarily optimal either. And Dean is gone. Dean left. He got upset with me. Whatever. It's me by myself now. Dean decided to skedaddle. I guess his internet went out or something. Pressed the wrong button. He'll be back. He'll be back in the YouTube chat. You guys, I love the thummy thumbs. Give me the. Why do we give the thummy thumbs for thank God Dean is gone? Because typically he's not up this early in the morning, right? Smash that like button if you like the fact that Dean is gone. Well, maybe people don't. Maybe people actually prefer Dean to me. So he's gone. I'm here, and yeah. So pitching on DraftKings, play whoever you want, right? Like that's what I would always say. But yeah, Clevenger, Molly. My pool would be Clevenger, Molly, Smiley, or Suarez, Kirby for like single entry, 3 max type of stuff. And then if you want to take shot, you can make lineups with anyone. I think anyone outside of Voth and Toussaint, you're perfectly fine. Let's see. In the YouTube chat, Smiley or Suarez, early slate GPP. It would depend on your lineup, Moochie, right? Anytime you ask a GPP question, it means nothing without the contest and the exact lineup that you're playing. That's why we don't do 1v1s when I'm on the show. Jeffrey Battaglia, what type of stack do you do? 5-3 or 3-3-2? I'll do whatever lineup is more optimal than the other lineup. So maybe it ends up being a 4-3-1. Maybe it's a 5-3. Maybe it's a 5-1-1-1. Maybe it's a 5-2-1. Maybe it's a 4-2-1-1. I'll compare all of those lineups to each other, right? If you watch the DFS pregame show in the morning, which is normally on at this time, 11 to 12, Monday through Friday, those are the types of things that you'll learn that there's no correct answer in DFS like that. If you can answer a yes or a no or an exact number, then you're asking the wrong question. Okay. But people are like this or that. We're like Smiley or Suarez. Well, Smiley projects better than Suarez. Well, Smiley projects 0.3 better than Suarez in my projections. So, but Smiley is also slightly less owned than Suarez. So depending on the lineup that you're playing, one would be better than the other, right? Remember, we're not predicting outcomes. We're building higher probability expectation lineups than our opponents. That's it. That's all we're doing. Izzy says Dean needs to upgrade his Earthlink. Yeah, he connects via CompuServe, I think. I think he connects he's still on America Online or Prodigy or whatever. Are people that old? Are people old enough in the chat to get that? Nick Thompson, why don't I like Toussaint? No, I think Toussaint is a he's a pretty nice guy. I don't even know him. I don't know him. But why don't I like Toussaint? Because he projects bad. Right? He projects 8.81 for 7,200 for a 1.22 point per dollar. So there's no why. Why would I sacrifice for 7,200 for around that price? I could get Drew Smiley that has a 9-point higher projection. So why would I play Toussaint even at like 4% ownership? I'm sacrificing 9 points for what? I could play low owned batters. So if I built, I ran 100 lineup set. Like I didn't get any. Like Toussaint, I probably could run 5,000 and not get Toussaint in my lineups. Yeah, the bat is all over Seattle versus Tucson. Right, exactly. That's exactly what I said. When we get when Dean comes back, and hopefully we get to hitters and stacks and everything. I was going to say that the batters I'm getting the most in my lineups, like I'm running, like maybe I could share my screen, right? Let me put it up for Steve, right? Since we're here by myself, okay. That's my screen. Yeah, okay. So all I did is go on the bat projections and just ran kind of like a dummy run, just a research run, right? I just ran 5-man stacks, because most likely you're going to be playing 5-man stacks, right? Some amount of diversification just so you don't get the same lineup over and over again. And I maxed out the stacks at 25%, just so I'm not getting all of one team. Just this is not how you would build lineups. It's just to research. Right, so I just do that to 100 lineups and see what shows up. Right, what types of constructions, what do they go together? So I look, I'm not saying this is, you have to commit, this is not even comparing ownership, just to see what comes up based on the projections. So based on this, I'm getting a lot of Seattle, Philadelphia, and the Cubs. Right, then the Twins, and then not much else. Maybe the Blue Jays. And this is regardless of ownership. Right? That's what you do later. I just want to see what shows up. So I'm getting a lot of 5-man Mariners stacks with Clevinger and Molly. Now, a lineup like this, we take a look at a lineup like this: Clevinger, Molly, Raleigh, Crawford, Winker, Haniger, Rodriguez with McKinstry. Right? If he leads off for the Cubs, is he leading off? Is that confirmed? Let's look. Yeah, confirmed. Yes. Okay. The Cubs lineup is McKinstry, Horner. Okay. So that's okay. We're getting some lineups in. We're getting the Royals, the Twins have a lineup in. The Nationals have a lineup in. I just want to make sure that all of these are valid players, right? Segura's leading off. Otani's in there. Okay. So we got that right. Okay. So looking at this, like on a 5-man stack, like this is the highest projected one based on this run, 110.23. And the optimal unstacked with whoever, it's like 111.37. So like for really small field stuff, like this would be fine. So like I just want to take a look at like what types of lineups project the best just in raw median, regardless of ownership. Okay, here we go. Dean.
What's
Dean,
up,
you're
Wendell?
back in a new location. Oh, you traveled.
Yes, I I lost my virtual background, but this is going to have to do, I suppose, for the next half hour till we hand it off to my apologies to chat. My apologies to you. And I mean, you're used to this all the time. You're perfectly comfortable going solo, I presume, and you're going into some lineup construction theory. I heard there. I didn't want to interrupt you. You're on a roll
Right
there.
now, did you travel? Is that what you did? Did you fly home from Grants?
I am still there. Yeah,
I thought maybe you did. Maybe that's where you left. You left for 5 minutes and woof, you're back home.
What do you think? What kind of teleporter do you think I have where I can go from Colorado to Florida within like minutes?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, my understanding that's yet to be invented. But if it is, sign me up. I'll take a shot at that. You're talking about lineups. Yeah, we have the first 3 sets, and I don't believe. I thought I heard you say the Angels lineup is out. Did I miss that? Did that actually come out?
No. I was saying the Nationals, the Cubs, the Twins, the Royals, the Phillies, the Reds. Yeah, the Angels lineup isn't out. Oh no, it's a 4:07 Eastern game. So no, that will not be out soon.
The Baltimore lineup just came out for what it's worth. Mullins, Santander, Mountcastle, Hayes, Urias, McKenna, Odor, Mateo, and Chirinos. So it's no Rushman is the first thing I'm seeing.
Okay.
No Adley Rushman.
That's an upgrade to Stripling a little, but I mean, I don't think you're playing Stripling in DFS.
I don't think so either. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, I just don't think I'm doing it. It doesn't really seem very necessary to me. And this Baltimore lineup is not as horrific. I mean, obviously, Rushman being out is certainly a hit, and again, there's not a huge opportunity cost at pitcher today. But, I think there's going to be a couple of guys that put up a couple solid scores. I don't know if it's going to be Stripling. I guess he can, but I'm not in on Stripling. That's not something that I'm going to get to. And again, we're still waiting on 5 lineups as far as the late slate. Did you talk about stacks? I think you were talking about stacking as I kind of dozed away, right?
Right. Yeah. On my research run, I'm getting like I mean, projection wise, if you're using the bat, like Mariners, then Phillies, then Cubs, I guess, depending on the lineup construction that you use. And you're like not even spending. I mean, like, look, the top lineup is only like 48.4, right? The top lineup in my run 48.4. I mean, there's ones that spend salary, but
How
like
much you want to leave the table?
it doesn't matter,
Like,
right?
would you
I'm
leave
probably
3K?
not leaving 10,000 on the
Yeah.
table, but on this slate, I mean, there's no reason why if you want to leave 2,000 on the table for a justifiable reason. If your lineup is already low owned and you could play Ohtani in your lineup, like just do that. Right?
I
Like
feel like
it's more of the fact of if you're playing a lineup that has much more higher owned players that you sacrifice that. So like if you're playing let's take a look at these Cubs stacks. So I'm assuming this is the top Cubs stack.
it's a bad team.
Right, but I'm just saying, but because the lineup has changed and now McKinstry and like Horner is 4,700,
Yeah.
and he still fits in this lineup that's 48.5. So like this is the lineup: Clevenger, Molly, and then the 5-man Cub stack is Gomes, McKinstry, Horner, Reyes, and Happ. Right, because Reyes projects well for 2,900, and then your one-offs here are Ohtani, Rodriguez, and Segura, and then you still leave 1,500 on the table. So like imagine it's like, oh, instead of playing Nico Horner, I'm going to play a different shortstop and switch. Like, dude, you'd be leaving like 3,000 on the table if you. Why not play Julio Rodriguez? Why not play Ohtani at that point? Because your lineup is low enough owned as it is. If you're playing the chalk, right, that's when it's like, well, maybe I don't want to just grab like maybe instead of playing Ohtani, leave 1,000 on the table and play play someone else instead. Play. Let's take a look at what's around. You play someone else.
You're going to be put to the test, right? Because you're going to have the money for J-Rod. You're going to have the money for Ohtani. You're going to have the money for Guerrero. I just wonder how heavily owned these guys are going to be. Like I see right now, we have 14.9% ownership on J-Rod. I think that's too low.
Yeah, because based on lineup construction, you're going to be able to fit. These guys are going to, if they're not in stacks, are going to be very popular one-offs. Only because why not take the raw point projection then care about the ownership? So like Rodriguez could easily be 25%, Ohtani 20+%. So that's why I said if you're already playing a lower, if you're playing the A's aren't even on this slate. If you're playing the, let's see, who's low. You're playing the Nationals, or you're playing the Royals against Molly for total leverage. Like if you're going to play a lineup that's like Melendez, Witt, Perez, Pascatino, like just play Julio Rodriguez in that lineup, right? That's perfectly fine. You don't have to worry as much about that. But if you're playing kind of a chalkier lineup, like understand that these higher priced guys are going to be very easy to fit into anyone's lineup.
Hey, we got a good blender question for you in chat. This is from Corey. What total lineup ownership would you be comfortable with in a single entry?
That all depends on slate. You have to run and see and compare those lineups to each other. So there's no one number. On a 3-game slate with everyone's own 30%, obviously the number is going to be way higher. On a 15-game slate, right? And then one team is overowned by 50 percentage points, right? It's a 15-game slate, and Coors is 74% owned, which is obviously an exaggeration. So obviously the total ownership number, because everyone is going to be low outside of Coors. So that total ownership, if you're not playing Coors, is going to be very low. So there's no like, oh, if you just stick to 108, that you could just plug that in for every slate. So like those types of questions have no answers.
Do you set it at something, or it just depends upon the day, I guess?
It depends on the day. That's why I run the research. I go, okay, these lineups are this and these lineups are that. I would look and I go, this lineup is too chalky. This lineup is too chalky. This lineup is, and then I'd see what's the commonalities between them. Sometimes the commonality is that there's a certain combination of 2 or 3 players. And I go, well, and those 2 or 3 players make up a certain amount of ownership. And I go, well, in order to cut off some of these lineups, the common ground is that all of these lineups are over X percentage ownership. Like, I don't know what that number is going to be until I run it, right? So maybe I look through and I go, all these lineups that are over 180 seem to be a little too chalky. I think are a little too chalky. So then I go, okay, well, let me run this all again and set the max at 180. And then I go that. It's like, are there lineups that are too chalky? that I think. And then maybe I have to go lower. And then I also have to go on the bottom and go, there's lineups that are low owned and too low projected. I go, okay, maybe these lineups that have a 70 total ownership just are way too low projected. So I don't even want to see those. And then maybe with those combinations of players, you're like, well, all these lineups have a combination of these three players. Maybe I set a group that has no more than two. And then I see what lineups like it. Like that should be your kind of progression. So there's nothing like I'm showing you lineup HQ in here. I'm not going, there's no like default settings that I use. And it's like, oh, time to build the slate and press a button and I have lineup. It's like there's not, and every slate is going to be different. So I start at defaults and then I go, what lineups will be plus EV for this specific slate? And then you run and then you narrow, and then you narrow down. And next thing you know, you have 18 settings set up that are totally unique to that slate by the end of it. But those 18 settings, I'm not just starting from the beginning. I'm not looking at the slate going, oh, this is a slate where randomness should be 7. This is a slate where number of unique should be 3. This is a slate where total own you don't do that. You start from nothing and go, well, let me take a look at lineups and see where those lines are, and then got to use them.
Yeah, so there's just no catch-all answer, basically.
Right.
By the way, somebody in chat was talking about the weather being great in Minnesota. According to Weather Edge, it's slightly positive. Nothing crazy, but 151 game sample, a boost in homers by 1%, boost in runs of 3.3%. We do have a fire emoji for the Angels afternoon game out there in LA. I'm not sure if that means the marine layer is lurking. I'm not a marine layer expert. Maybe Roth can speak on that. 86 degrees, 8 miles per hour to dead center field. But for what it's worth, in a 250 game sample, which is pretty big, slight hit in homers, slight increase in runs. So nothing dramatic in the sample, but the fire emoji is there for what it's worth. Washington gets a slight bump as far as weather, good ballpark as well. In Cincinnati, slight bump in homers, slight bump in runs. Nothing dramatic, of course. Good ballpark there also.
I got it on in the 100. See, like let's take a look. I got a Royals lineup in here.
Okay.
There's a one came up in the top 100. Like, but you'll see. Look at the projection is not as bad as it's not that bad. It's really not. It's really not that bad. If you want it. I mean, look, 45-2. Like that. That's you're leaving 4,800 on the table, and you still have Julio Rodriguez in your lineup. I guess I could run a Kansas City stack and see what that looks like. Like it's Witt, Taylor, Massey, Pasquantino, Melendez in here with Chapman, Haniger, Rodriguez, Smiley, Clevenger. Like it's just going to be very hard to get to Royal stacks because like then you're not playing Molly and then you still have all the money in the world. So like it was just weird that out of the first 100. But of course I have unique players on too. So I'm going to get some crappy lineups with this as well.
Is this something you're considering a road stack?
No. I'm playing the smaller field. No, this would be a large. Like, I don't think you have to get. I don't think you have to get that nuts. Like and to me, I don't consider Molly to be an SB1 type pitcher. I'm not a big fan of even in large field stacking against SB1 types. I'm talking about the Scherzers and the Rodons and the Ceases, even like those types of guys. Like on a large slate, it's like when you stack a team, they pretty much have to be the highest scoring team on the slate. Now, it's possible for Max Scherzer to not have a good pitcher score, but the opposing team only puts up 4 or 5 runs. But that's not going to be good enough. 4 or 5 runs ain't cutting it. Yeah, it's good that you didn't have Scherzer, but it's not like the stack came in. So, like, against SB1 types, I don't really stack against. Now, Molly is not an SB1 type. Molly on any other slate would be like that SB2 you'd play when you could play, a real top-level pitcher, right? So, I don't mind the Royals in large field against there, but to me, you don't have to get as nuts. I'm playing a contest that's less than 1,000 entries. Like, why do I have to even get that nuts to even do that? I mean, the Royal stack would be the biggest leverage play on the slate because Molly is a higher on pitcher. So in concept, I get it. I just think on this slate that if I'm going to do that, I want to go for $50,000, right? against 10,000 people or whatever. It's a large field contest. So I get paid for that occurrence more than in a 121 with 5K to first. Maybe if you don't play Molly, maybe you play one of the Royals as one-off. I mean, that could end up happening. But I just don't think it's necessary in small field today.
There are no offenses that are really popping. The Phillies look like they have the highest team total, if I'm reading this correctly, 4.75. Well, you want to get all technical. Toronto, 4.78. Seattle, 4.94. So no team amongst the 12 teams that are playing baseball in the early slate on DK, top it up in half there, and FanDuel, obviously 3-3. No team's got a team total of 5. And I think it's 5 or 6 teams that have a team total of at least 4. Runs, at least according to team totals, are going to be at a bit of a premium. Like we're looking at the Reds, under 4 team total. Washington, under 4 team total. Kansas City, barely above 3, 3.28. That's really rough. The Angels are 3.5. They're horrendous. Baltimore's below 4 as well against Stripling. And both teams in the San Diego-Miami game, they're expecting a pitcher's duel with Clevenger and Lopez. So, in theory, whatever is the chalk as far as the hitters, if there happens to be one. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be. It could be flat, right? But if some team does rise, it's probably not great chalk. Is that fair to say?
That would be true, but I don't think any team goes like that. I think, here's this lineup right here that I'm looking at. I looked at these Philly lineups out of this research build. So this top lineup, for instance, is Clevenger, Molly, the Philly stack with Ohtani, Rodriguez, McKinstry.
Yeah.
To me, this is a lineup that I would not play.
It's too chalky?
Well, the one-offs, it's essentially it's the highest projected Philly stack with the 3 guys. Well, Segura's going to be a popular one-off also. So it's like you're playing Segura, McKinstry, Ohtani, and Rodriguez all in the same lineup with the 2 chalkiest pitchers. And the stack with the Real Muto, Hoskins, and Castellanos in it. It's I look at this and I go, there are better ways for me to get relative value. Is this the highest projected? Dude, if you were playing a 20-man contest, if you were playing amongst your 100-man amongst your friends, this would be a good lineup. But in a competitive environment,
you got 100 friends?
Well, I don't. But if you did.
You're playing 100. You have 100 friends, and all these 100 friends care for DFS. Yeah, I'll take the under on that.
Well, good. They didn't fill out their lineup, so it's even easier to win.
I'm trying to think of a way to make a Philly lineup a little bit different. I suppose you can go Hall left on left instead of Hoskins. That's
what I do. See here, Dean. This is what I'm talking about when I said before about lineup construction. So let's say I did want to build Philly stacks. Okay, so let's say we go. Okay. So I'm going to go into Lineup HQ, which you can get if you're a premium member, right? This is the tool I use every day. So go click on that link in the description, get $10 off your first month. So I'll go through and I'll go, okay, let's take a look at Philly stacks. So I'll go here. I still got Philly 5-mans there. I'm going to set it to 100 so I can look at them, right? We don't have to generate 100. We could generate 20 because we're just looking at them. And then I'm going to build a player group that doesn't Clevenger, Molly, McKinstry, Segura, Ohtani, and Rodriguez, right? So that lineup has all of these players in it. So now maybe you don't want to play all the chalkiest players, which are not absurd chalk, but still the highest owned. Maybe it's not max 1, right? But maybe no more than 3. Try that first. You could try 4. This doesn't mean it's correct. You do this and then you see what lineups come out. So if we did 4 and then check 20 and go, does this look good? And if we go, no, I still think it's a little too chalky, then you go 3. But this is a blunt way of doing this. So I'm going to set it to 3. So if we have, I'm going to build Philly stacks, and there's Segura in here already. So if Segura ends up making it, I'll have a max 2 of Molly, Clevenger, Ohtani, Rodriguez, and McKinstry, which avoids those chalky combinations of players. So here I'm going to run 20 right now. Right? It's going to go pretty quickly.
Segura, bad chalk. The reason why you mentioned Segura, he's on the road. He's leading off, well-positioned 5 at-bats there for Cincinnati in that ballpark against Cincinnati.
Well, I don't mind him in a Philly stack. I mean, like I'm playing a Philly. Like I can't avoid Segura if I'm playing the Phillies. I mean, obviously you could build a Philly stack without him, but take a look at this lineup. This is the top lineup that is here, 107.54. It has Clevenger and Molly in it, but obviously because of that, I can't have Ohtani's, McKinstry, or Rodriguez. So this is a Real Muto, Hoskins, Segura, Bohm, Castellanos. It's a 1-5 Philly stack. Sounds great to me. Carlos Correa at shortstop, Winker and Haniger in the outfield. What the hell's wrong with this lineup?
Nothing. That's fine.
Right. Now it's a little high owned. But this is something that you could probably get away. Like I'll be a little bit more different than this. But I think if you played this in something like the 121, anything under 500 entries or something like that, maybe even 1,000 entries, I think you'd be perfectly fine with this. Like this would be absolutely fine. I'll go to the next lineup. Like here's a 5-3 with Crawford, Haniger, Rodriguez, Castellanos, Bohm, Segura, Hoskins, Real Muto, Molly, and Smiley. So no Clevenger. Like there's a 5-3 lineup, and it doesn't project for that much different, right? Yeah, about a half a point difference.
We got the Crunch Time crew coming in about 10 minutes or so. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth, TJ Zwarych, 2-time millionaire winner, Dave Potts as well. If you guys are in chat, and if you're wondering why we've not gone around the horn, I don't want to torture Blender, as far as favorite players, position by position. You don't want to have that conversation. It can be entertaining, I suppose, to some degree, but you know what? The Crunch Time guys are going to take care of it. Roth will be asking TJ and Dave to knock out their favorite players position by position. They'll have plenty of time to talk about this 6-game slate, 2 3-gamers on FanDuel. Whatever's on your mind, though, in chat, feel free to fire off. Obviously, Blender better suited, much prefers game theory questions, things of that sort. And Jason's asking if I'm under the weather. Yes, I am a little bit under the weather. I'm not sure if you can tell.
Are you under the marine layer, though?
I am not under the marine layer. And I don't know if this is true or not, but Izzy in chat saying the marine layer apparently not a thing at 1 o'clock out there in Anaheim. I don't know. I can't speak to that. It's not my area of expertise. Maybe it comes like
Wouldn't the marine layer be in Seattle, though?
I think
they are the Mariners.
Yes, I see what you're doing there. Yes. It took me a second. Alan wants to know 5-man Seattle stack. Is that too chalky for single entry on DK? I don't think so.
As long as you then get different in the rest of your line. I mean, like the stack in and of itself is I mean, let's say you could play the stack without Rodriguez. Right? Okay. So that gets you a little bit less. It's really you're considering the whole lineup, not just the stack. So I don't mind playing Seattle stack. Now, if you're going to play the chalkiest version of the Seattle stack, maybe that's a lineup you don't play Mullen in. Maybe that's a lineup you don't play an Ohtani one-off or a McKinstry for value. So, like, you could do all those things. And the same way that if you're going to go, I'm going to take a shot on the Royals against Molly and play like Smiley Clevenger type of combination, well, then feel free to jam in Rodriguez. Feel free to play the Mariners 3-man, regardless of ownership, because the Royals aren't going to be that owned.
Well, why can't I just play a 5-man Seattle stack? And that's not going to be crazy owned. What am I missing here?
It's going to be high. It's going to be, I mean, high enough. No, I don't think any stack. I think the highest are going to be the Phillies and the Mariners. I mean, they have the 2 highest team totals.
We got Haniger at 16%, J-Rod at 13, Winker at 14.
That's up. That's going up, baby. That's
on a 6-game slate?
That's going up 20.
Pie only can cut so many slices. Yeah. I don't think that's very high owned in a 6-gamer.
It's high enough owned.
Okay.
It's the chalkiest. That there's a degree of chalk. It's not. Yeah, you're right. It's not 50%. I'm sorry. It's like you're using the version of clear like I did against you. Yes. It's like, oh, it's a clear. It's like, well, it's not that clear. This is like it's chalk, but it's not that. Like you're making the valid point that it's nothing is absurdly high owned, other than maybe Molly. That like. Do you have to like get like, oh, I really have to avoid this stack type of thing? I get that. You're right.
But I agree with Shannon saying that J-Rod's going to be north of 20%. I think as we update it, as we get closer and closer to lock, I imagine that Rodriguez will be grabbing more ownership because he's really good, and also you're gonna have the money for it. There's recency bias too. He homered last night, but like people didn't just find out last night he's really good at baseball. They're asking in chats about Toronto. No lineup just yet for Toronto. What are your thoughts as far as the Blue Jays?
They'll be lower owned. I mean, they obviously have a ceiling.
I think, are they the highest total? No, they're second highest total. Seattle actually highest total.
Is there really a high total? I mean, like everything. What's the difference between Seattle's the highest at 4.95, but then you got a ton of teams in like the 4.5 to 4.75 range. So, like, is that dramatic of a difference? No,
it's all basically the same. You're right.
Right.
I don't know. We might get something goofy as far as Toronto. I wouldn't be shocked if they rested Springer. You know, they've been really cautious with him and his elbow. I just came back from the DL. This is a day game. Well, kind of a day game. 3 o'clock on the East Coast there for Toronto. But, you know, be on the lookout for that Toronto lineup. Voth is one of those guys, and I know Cheese wrote about it today in his article. You want him to be worse than he actually is. Like, I don't think he's had one start this season where he's got more than 3 earned runs. He's not special. He's not great. But he has yet to get his face fully punched in this year, for what it's worth. Now, Baltimore,
He should. He will.
I mean, at some point, you know, it's going to happen just for variance purposes, I suppose. But, you know, dude's got a 3.81 Sierra in the season. That's pretty solid. That's pretty fine. He's actually been unlucky as far as BABIP, 346. Unlucky as far as left on base. That's why his ERA is 5.34. So, you know, if you want to, he's due for some positive regression, for what it's worth. I don't know if it's happening today, but just saying, he's better than his numbers suggest. Probably the worst pitcher in this slate is Abbott. I think it's, I mean, he's
not the worst pitcher. I think Tukey is the worst pitcher on the slate.
Well, Tukey's weird because he's a big K guy. He can be a big K guy, but also he's crazy wild. So I think he's a big variance guy as far as Tukey.
True.
I don't know what we're going to get from him.
But he's also facing Seattle, and I trust Seattle more than Tukey.
I think so, yeah. I expect Raleigh to be in that Seattle lineup today because he didn't play last night. The Big Dumper, of course, one of the best nicknames in all of baseball.
Is that his real nickname?
Somebody gave him the nickname Big Dumper, yeah.
What the hell is that supposed to mean? The Big Dumper?
I don't think of him as like a particularly husky fella, but you know, catchers typically can be broad.
That type of. I'm thinking about TJ's in the. I see that the Crunch Time people are in the backstage area, whatever here, and all I can think about is the poop bags, the Big Dumper. That's what I thought he meant. Like he's the Big Dumper. I mean, the guy takes a lot of deuces. I mean, what kind of nickname is that?
I you know what? It can go multiple directions. I did not explore the nickname, but now I'm curious. You got my attention.
That's immediately what it came to mind. I didn't think of like a dump truck or a dumpster. Or I thought about the toilet.
Yeah, it could go multiple directions, and now I'm definitely curious for sure. It's wild. We were talking. I was on yesterday with Kirk Keys, and we were talking about his love for bidets. So this is a tradition. This is 2 days in a row now. We're going down this route, I suppose. We got Shannon in chat, by the way, asking about the Orioles. Why are we not talking about Baltimore?
Because the projections tell me not to.
Well, if the projections told you to jump off a bridge, Blender.
If it's low owned enough, I will.
We do have the Crunch Time crew. They're knocking on the door early. Let's say hello. Kevin Roth, of course, is here. Dave Potts is here. But TJ, newly married? We're everything's good to go? Everything went well, I presume, hopefully?
Everything went great, even though jumping off the bridge is not the chalk. I don't think I'm going to go with it. I think I'm going to stick with the marriage. It was a pretty perfect day. Had a really relaxing few days afterwards. And it's life's good right now.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Wants to know, did you put have the poop bags been put to good use just yet? The wedding gift he bought you?
Did you use them as gift bags at the wedding?
No, we didn't use them for gift bags at the wedding, but we did have a little station of like his favorite, her favorite, their favorite, and their favorite was the dog stuff. So we did have a little like basket of dog treats for people to take home to their animals if they wanted.
Dave, do you know about this? Are you lost early? Blender.
No, I heard about the poop bag gift, which is fantastic.
There you go. What's up, Roth? How are things in your world?
It's good. I'm confused what the Big Dumper could mean other than takes big poops. Like,
right.
I think it just means he has a big butt.
That's what I thought.
Oh, okay. He's got a big. All right.
He's got a big dumper on him, you know? Like
okay.
It's not the poops themselves that are big. It's the mechanism that relays the poop.
Okay. That I can see that. I was confused as to what else it could mean, but All right, the big dumper. I'll buy that.
In 2021, Jared Kelnick, his teammate, when Kyle Raleigh was called up, he tweeted out, "Big dumper to the show." So like this is a real nickname. Kelnick called him the big dumper. I don't know. I don't know his dimensions, how tall, how wide, how broad he happens to be, but I am curious because it definitely can go one of two ways. And it's funny how I just assume one and Blender assumed another, and I guess it can go. I'm going to hit the Google in between shows today and find out. That's a good tease for tuning in at 3:00 for the back half.
Dino, where are you? Are you hanging out with your boy Grant again?
I'm still, I had some issues and now I'm just, I know my background's not on. I was turning my background on and I was getting like a floating head and I'm like, all right, screw it. I'm just going to go without the background, I suppose. But we're making do. I'm not feeling particularly well. I'm not sure if you can hear my voice, but we're powering through and I apologize. I don't sound great today, but that's just how it goes some days, I suppose.
But your mustache still looks fantastic.
Yeah, you look great. That makes up for everything.
Yeah.
Blender, you got anything else for the boys before you step aside and make way for crunch time?
No, I'm pretty good. No weather concerns. So I'm gonna sit back, build my lineup, and then wait for something bad to happen.
Wait for what the projections tell you what to do, right?
Well, yeah, they guide my entire life. Of course, you just go by the projection.
Should I go outside today? What do the projections say? All right. Myself, Blender, we're going to step aside and get out of here at the start of the Fanduel sponsor Crunch Time. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth, the newly married TJ, two-time millionaire winner Dave Potts. It starts right now.
It does indeed. Appreciate it as always, Dino. And yes, thank you for joining us early, bright and early. 11 a.m. where I'm at. In Saskatoon, it's like 9 a.m.
Got 10 here.
It's 10?
Got
Okay.
10 here.
No idea what time it was in Saskatoon. But happy to be joined by two of the sharpest minds in the biz. Hey, by the way, this is not just Crunch Time. This is FanDuel sponsored Crunch Time, which is why you're getting to watch this for free. So hit a like on that YouTube for our sponsor, FanDuel. If we don't get the likes and we don't get the views, we're going to lose the sponsor, and then the show won't be free anymore. So if you want to keep this show free, just hit the like button. It's better than paying for it. FanDuel Single Entry Series is back. 50K, baby. That's just in bonus cash up for grabs. Top 4 scores each week count towards your combined score. Players with the highest combined score get paid on top of the already payouts that you're getting. Top finisher in each series gets an all-expenses-paid trip to the Single Entry Series Championship in Chicago on September 9th. A shot at the $10,000 grand prize. And if you go, Meansy will take you out and buy you deep dish pizza and drinks.
Confirmed. Yeah.
Yeah. I talked to him about that and he agreed. I haven't talked to him about that actually, but
it's not really up to him anymore.
It's exactly. Yeah. It's officially part of the winnings now. Hey, joined us.
I'm excited about that because I'm going to be there. I'm excited to meet Meansy. I'll shake your hand. It's going to be there at the same time as the live final, so I'm looking forward to that. And I want to get in quick, too. It's the return of the Spidey Bomb. It's 75 likes. I haven't been here in a week, so it's our first Spidey Bomb in a week as soon as we hit 75 likes.
How many likes do we need for whatever a She-Hulk bomb would be? I didn't know a She-Hulk was a thing, but that's a thing, and I want a She-Hulk bomb.
It is. She-Hulk Bomb we will get at 80, so only 5 different likes different because She-Hulk premieres on Disney Plus tomorrow. You can find my review on agentsofandom.com today. I watched the first 4 episodes. It's a pretty good show. She-Hulk, Jennifer Walters is Hulk's cousin. There was a little accident. She got some of his blood in her system, and she hulks out a little bit. It's a lawyer comedy. It's pretty fun.
Okay, weird. Okay, lawyer comedy She-Hulk. That is a weird combination of things.
What I will say is, Cheese, you liked Shang-Chi, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, I loved it.
This show. Okay, perfect. I didn't know you did either, Roth. This show picks up immediately after Shang-Chi.
Oh,
okay.
So we kind of deal with a few of the same characters.
Okay. Well, I mostly just enjoyed the kung fu and the fact that fight scenes are better when they're actually fighting and not just casting magical powers at one another. It's just as a general rule. But hey, let's
talk to action movie in Marvel for me. Let's talk some baseball.
Let's do it. Let's talk baseball here. We can briefly talk weather, and that is there's a low chance of a delay in Washington. It would be more likely late than early, and it would be most likely never So I think whatever you were planning on doing in Washington, you just do it and kind of cross your fingers and hope it works out. Cheese, do we want pitchers there anyways?
There's a tournament pitcher.
Great.
But yeah, it's maybe a late delay is a non-issue.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it will be an issue if there's a delay in the 4th inning and you played that guy, but it's just not likely enough that you should change your lineups based on it. So let's talk about what we are going to do at pitcher. And Cheese, good sir, please give us a breakdown.
Yeah. So the first thing to note, it's a very big difference. The FanDuel slate is 3 games, and the DK slate is 6 games. So these are totally different slates, even though they have the same 3 games. So we'll kind of go back and forth a little bit. On both sites, Tyler Mahle is your chalk for these early games, and he is the best guy. Like I call him my SP1. He projects the best. The matchup's pretty good. He's pretty good, but this is not some elite ace. And in the big scheme of things, this is kind of weird chalk. I think it's very worth considering the fade on FanDuel, where the ownership on just a 3-game slate is going to be pretty wild. Like we're showing him at basically 60% ownership, and it's Tyler Mahle. This is not like 60% of an ace on a small slate. I think you pivot to some Drew Smyly and some Ranger Suarez personally. I don't think you need to do it with Nick Lodolo. You can. He has the most strikeout upside. But he's also the riskiest of this group of all risky pitchers. I just think my main takeaway from looking at all of this is on FanDuel in particular, Tyler Mahle is just really weird mega chalk. Like there is no world in which he should be 6 times the ownership of similarly skilled pitchers. So officially, like if you say, who do I think scores the most points? Probably Mahle. But I would tell you that Suarez and Smyly are better FanDuel tournament plays.
Okay. Let's talk DK, and then I'll get TJ's thoughts. He was nodding or smirking when you mentioned Nick Lodolo. So I'm interested if he's got a take there, but we'll hold off on that for just a minute.
It's really weird on Lodolo. Like he's the only guy on this slate with any actual strikeout ability. It's just – and he's more of a FanDuel thing. The DK price on him is weird, and he's off my list personally on DK.
Okay. Well, what do you like on DK? We got
we
twice
bring
as many
in
pitchers.
2 more good pitchers with Clevenger and George Kirby. The only issue with George Kirby is pitch count, but pitch count is kind of an issue with everyone on this slate. Like there are no 100 pitch guys on this slate realistically. So I'm playing Kirby as my SP2. I like Clevenger, Smyly, and Suarez. Like this is all just a throw them in a bag, mix them up, and pull one out. I'm very close to a straight even mix of Mahle, Clevenger, Smyly, Suarez, and Kirby. I know that's not super helpful, but that's what this slate is. They're all very close. And while Mahle is the best again, I think it's kind of weird chalk. So I'm going out of my way not to play him everywhere.
Okay. Is the cash build just going Mahle and Kirby? Because they've got all the ownership and all
that's
the
what I would do.
Rainbows.
Yeah. Like Clevenger, it's fine to do Clevenger instead of Kirby, but I would do Mahle Kirby personally.
Any guys you want to throw in there on DK that are different, cheaper? Is there a...
No, the salary is a non-issue. It basically does not exist on DK today.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, let's get TJ's takes here. And TJ, if you wouldn't mind going through it like Cheese did, where we start on FanDuel and work our way into DK, that'd be great.
So on FanDuel, where we have only a 3-game slate and Tyler Mahle mega chalk, Lodolo is my favorite one for tournaments. And the reason for that is just because, yes, he has the highest risk out of those 4 guys, but he also has the highest upside, and he's picking up the lowest ownership on a 3-game slate. Maybe not as high as upside as Mahle, but obviously with 6 times less ownership, it's very, very enticing for me. And so Lodolo is the guy I want to go with because on a 3-game slate, it's kind of hard to pivot off of some of these chalkier bats. And a lot of the chalkier ones are going to be from Philly, and nobody's playing Lodolo. So that's going to be my way to get different in tournaments. And I'm going to play my next favorite offenses there with Nick Lodolo, so I don't have to worry about the ownership on those bats. I am just playing one tournament lineup today. If I was playing lots, my entire pool would just be Mahle, Lodolo, Suarez, Smyly. However, I think I would look to just hit the X button on Molly and anything outside of cash games just because of that ownership he's picking up. On DraftKings today, I kind of feel similarly to Cheese. This would just be a pool of 6 pitchers for me today that I'm mixing and matching. For tournaments, my favorite is going to be Mike Clevenger. But Pablo Lopez, Tyler Mahle, George Kirby, Ranger Suarez, Mike Clevenger, and Drew Smiley would be my pool of 6 that I'd be mixing and matching.
Okay, excellent stuff. Let's go ahead.
I would say as well, Clevenger is my favorite to pair with Mahle in cash games. I like him quite a bit more than Kirby.
Okay, great. Okay, let's talk about some of the stacks and some of the bats. And TJ, your plan was to go different at pitchers so that you can play. Was it Phillies? Is that the?
No, that's who's going up against Lodolo. And the 3 top offenses on the board are the Cubs, the Phillies, and the Twins. And the Twins, I think, are probably going to pick up the most ownership, but we're going to see quite a bit to the Phillies as well. And I think the Cubs are going to come in third. And so the Cubs, I'm playing the Cubs and I'm playing Minnesota with Nick Lodolo, and I'm hoping that's going to be different enough today.
Okay. Any other random stacks that you're interested in if you were playing more, maybe?
If I was getting into more lineups, on FanDuel, you can just simply play everyone. Like, I know that's not overly helpful, but I view Chicago, Philly, and Minnesota kind of as tier 1, and then the next 3 teams just in tier 2. I like some one-offs against Kansas City. I think if I was or even a mini stack, I think if I was trying to get different, that's probably where I would go, even though they're not in a great spot. It's just because it's a 3-game slate and Molly's going to come in 50, 40, 50, 60% owned. So when you have some high upside hitters on a team like Kansas City, even though they have a low total, like Bollywood Jr., Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino, MJ Melendez, and even Brent Rooker is somebody that projects decently. So that would probably be the tournament team if I was looking to get off the board with my bats that I would go with.
Okay. All right. Cheese, let's hear your favorite stacks. And do you have a top tier? Is it the same top tier as TJ's?
Yeah. I mean, on FanDuel, there's not even any room to have a different opinion. Philly, Minnesota, and the Cubs are just very obviously a top tier, and the ownership is going to be massive, really, on all 3 of those teams. Like, most lineups are going to be a 4-4 stack with 2 of those 3 teams. So I like, TJ's way. You just go different at pitcher, and you're different. Like, I don't think you have to try to just on a 3-game slate go off the board everywhere. If you were, I would have Royals first and Nationals second. Although I prefer just kind of power hunting with those teams. DraftKings brings in the other games where Toronto and Seattle will kind of join the chalk and join the top tier. I still like those early 3 teams a little better. And then I like Seattle ahead of Toronto based mostly on salary.
Okay. And someone mentioned in the YouTube chat that they like Seattle because there's no marine layer in afternoon games. And that is a good point. If you've got these afternoon games, just in West Coast games in general, you don't have to deal with that marine layer moving in and kind of knocking down home runs. So it does trend a little bit better for bats in day games out west. Okay, let's go position by position then. Cheese, you want to lead us off with a little catcher talk? Big dumper talk.
For catcher, we'll mostly just talk DK. You can play, and people will play Real Muto on FanDuel. And I don't mind Gary Sanchez there. I think mostly on DK, if you have money, and you do have money, you can spend a lot of salary anywhere. Real Muto is clearly the best guy. But I like Keibert Ruiz. He's one of the Washington bats I would play a little bit of. And Sal Perez is my favorite bat to play against Molly. Even in Molly lineups, I have some Sal Perez.
Okay. TJ, catcher.
Yeah, I echo those sentiments. Sal Perez is going to be my favorite guy on the board for tournaments today. On DraftKings, I do really like Real Muto as well because I'm not playing Lodolo over there. You could play Melendez, but personally, I would rather get to Salvador Perez. If he's in the lineup, I think you can take a shot on somebody like Danny Jansen. If you are stacking the Blue Jays, I always like getting to Jansen as opposed to Kirk in my lineups. And then Gary Sanchez, batting 7th against the lefty, is someone you can go to as well if you're trying to punt.
Okay. First base.
First base today, I think Ohtani is the top option on the board. Kirby's a solid pitcher, but he is not very strong against lefties. So I think you're going out Ohtani up top, or you're going to Rhys Hoskins, $2,000 cheaper. I do like Ohtani over Vladimir Guerrero straight up. And then I think if you're punting, personally, I would go with Pasquantino, but you could go with Carlos Santana or Jared Walsh as well.
Okay. Cheese, first base.
Yeah, this one's way more interesting on the DK side where you have Ohtani and Vlad. I agree. I like Ohtani better than Vlad. And just like I'm playing Perez in my Molly lineups, I'm playing Ohtani in my Kirby lineups. That is not an either or. On FanDuel, Hoskins chalk is going to be pretty extreme, similar to Molly. It's like, sure, he's the best play there, but it's not some can't miss. It's just that the options die out pretty quick after him. I do like Joey Meneses. He's not going to project well. We haven't seen much of him, but he's got power and he's cheap against the lefty.
Okay. Then take me to second base.
Second base is kind of a one-player position, and it's not even a great player. It's John Segura. John Segura? Yeah. Johnny boy. Gene Segura. Jean Segura.
Jean.
Elvis Andrus just got cut.
Well, that's what you get for hitting a home run. They were so surprised. They're like, we can't deal with this unpredictability. On FanDuel, Zach McKinstry is going to be also moderately popular because he's leading off at minimum salary. He is not second base on DK. And again, I think Segura, even with the bigger slate, is kind of like, he's kind of all you have here. And it's that definitely also qualifies as weird chalk. So I would be using second base in a stack.
TJ, second base.
I agree. I think you just use this position to stack whatever else is in your lineup, and you just don't care who's here today. It's an ugly position, and Segura's chalk, and he's not that great of a play. Like, he's a good play because he's leading off, but that's really about it. And I think if you're playing cash games, Segura is who you put in there on both sites, unless you want to go McKinstry on FanDuel. But I think you just plug and play whoever is going to be in your stack because it's a gross position and no one deserves to be chalky.
Okay. Third base.
Third base today, it is also very site dependent. I'm going to start on our sponsor, FanDuel, and we have hit 75 likes, so I can announce the first Spidey Bomb. We are 4 likes away from the She-Hulk Bomb, the inaugural She-Hulk Bomb. And so the Spidey Bomb today is going to be Salvador Perez. I think he's hitting one out of the park against Molly. And third base today on FanDuel. I do really like these Twins players. I like Jose Miranda. I like Gio Urshela. But I also like Bobby Witt Jr. I think those 3 are going to be my favorite plays there. On DraftKings, I think Eugenio Suarez is a great play. Matt Chapman's been red hot. I would never tell you not to play Manny Machado. So you do have a lot more options here, but I think you're probably looking at a 2K McKinstry or a 3.7K Jose Miranda.
Okay. Cheese, third base.
Yeah, I also really like Miranda. I think Alec Boehm on FanDuel will be pretty popular, but I don't love him outside of stacks. I would prefer to play Patrick Wisdom if I'm just kind of hunting for a homer. I also like Bobby Witt. You probably use him at shortstop more than third, but I do like him. And it is kind of weird. 6 games on DK, it's not as small, but still Manny Machado is going to be kind of unowned on a small slate, which makes me like him.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Well, you mentioned shortstop, so let's go to shortstop.
Yeah, it's basically on the FanDuel side, it's pretty much Correa all alone up top, and the ownership will follow that. So I do like pivoting to some Bobby Witt. Nico Horner, I really like Horner. I feel like he's going to be used mostly in stacks, and he's kind of the Cub. Other than Ian Happ, he's the Cubs bat I like to pull out on his own. So I think Correa sees a lot, even more than we're showing ownership gap between him and Horner. So I would lean away from Correa as a one-off if the rest of your lineup is kind of chalky. Like if you're playing Molly and Hoskins, like I would go with Witt or Horner instead of Correa.
Gotcha.
On DK, you add Bo Bichette into the mix, but I don't like him as much as Correa or Horner or Witt, and he's more expensive.
Okay. TJ, two things. First, I want your shortstop takes, and second, I want a She-Hulk bomb because we got over 80 likes over on the YouTube.
Yeah, and we demand this to be a guarantee.
Yeah. This cannot be. This is a decent play. This has got to be it.
I mean, for shortstop, we have no notes today. I agree completely with Cheese. I would not be messing around. I'd be rolling Correa, Bichette, Horner, and Bobby Witt Jr. I'm also a really big Nico Horner fan. I've been playing him quite a bit lately when I play Cubs, and nobody else really wants to, and it's been winning me money. We're going to go with a mini rant leading into the She-Hulk bomb because we know part of being a Hulk is being angry. That's right. I'm channeling my inner Derek Carty and going to talk about sample size real quick. And it's ridiculous to me how quick these MLB front offices give up on power hitters with low sample sizes. You got the New York Yankees with Joey Gallo. Yeah, he's been playing pretty terrible. He had been playing pretty terrible this year. He was also batting ninth, not getting near as many at-bats as he did with Texas. And he's a guy that just has always either struck out or hit home runs. His ISO was a little bit lower this year. His hard hit rate was a little bit lower this year, but not by that much. And all of a sudden now as a power hitter, he's getting hot again. Another team that did that this year with a player was the Cleveland Guardians with Franmil Reyes. Franmil Reyes has always been a guy for his entire career who will do nothing, and then he'll be one of the best power hitters in baseball for a month or two. And he got cut by the Guardians. He is signed with the Chicago Cubs, and I like the Cubs today. Franmil Reyes is the She-Hulk bomb.
Love it. Okay, good stuff. Outfield, TJ, what do you like?
We got some really good top options on the board on DraftKings. It's Julio Rodriguez, Shohei Ohtani, Mitch Haniger, Byron Buxton, George Springer, Jesse Winker, Ian Happ, Seiya Suzuki, Franmil Reyes, just great spots, top through the bottom, and even Juan Soto in there as well in a tough matchup. All of those are strong plays. I would prioritize Julio Rodriguez, Mitch Haniger, and Franmil Reyes on DraftKings. However, if you have the salary, I think you get Byron Buxton in there instead of Haniger or Reyes. On FanDuel, there's nowhere near as many nice pay up options. So Byron Buxton is the top guy on the board. He's going to be 1,000,000,000% owned. Ian Happ is the next guy, and they're both fantastic plays, but they're going to be wildly owned. So if you want to get away from that, I understand, but I'm going to be playing both of them with my guy, Franmil Reyes, today.
Okay, excellent. Cheese, the outfield sounds tasty, sounds yummy. What do you like?
Yeah, it's a far more wonderful position on DK with the extra games. Like it's going to go, going to be through the roof. And you got to be different somewhere. Like if TJ's doing it with Lodolo, that's enough. Like you don't have to get different everywhere. But like we've said, every position, don't play Lodolo, Hoskins, Correa, Buxton, and Happ and think you're being interesting. Like that's the lineup that will most likely score the most points along with everybody else. And then, of course, a couple of those guys will go over 4 because that's what they do. DraftKings, I do think we're going to see higher ownership on Buxton and Rodriguez than we're showing because salary is so easy to come by. There are no expensive pitchers. And every lineup I'm building, like I'm just sitting there with, I got $6,000. I could just play Buxton or Ohtani or Soto or Julio instead of, Haniger or Winker or Reyes or something. And I think everybody's going to do that because you have the salary. So like these mid-tier outfielders are really good. I think it's totally fine to play like Happ, Haniger, Gurriel, Winker, Reyes, and leave $2,000 on the table rather than just going up to Buxton in every lineup. That's one of the ways you can get different without playing a guy you don't like. So that's my first lean is just leave the salary. In I'm talking large field tournaments and just a few of your lineups, not across the board. And I'll say the same thing with Juan Soto as I did with Manny Machado. It's the weaker matchup of all the expensive guys, but it's still Juan Soto very low own on a small slate. So play something.
Okay, good stuff. Let's get a home run pick from everybody. Everybody gets a home run pick. TJ already kind of gave 2 with Spidey Bombs, but if you got another one, you can. Sorry,
Third one
Spidey
comes
Bomb.
at 100 likes for me, but it's the two of you. It's your time to shine here.
Okay, I've got my pick, but Cheese, I will let you go first because yours
Yeah.
actually matters and mine is irrelevant.
Well, I'll combine it with a hot take ish that George Kirby is the highest scoring pitcher on the slate, and Ohtani is the home run.
Ooh, love it, love it. My home run pick that's just jumping out at me right now is a man named Lourdes Gurriel Jr. I don't know who that is. I don't know if he can hit home runs.
He is a good batter who does not hit very many home runs.
Yeah. So if you look here, I pulled up his game log.
Ooh.
You got to go back a ways to
Yeah.
see the home run. Let's see if we can find one.
Has he ever
due.
hit a home run?
Clearly, he's due. There it is.
There it is.
July 1st. It was just last month. July 1st.
This is, as Cardi would say, positive regression. He's
Yes.
due. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. at plus 2,000 odds to hit a home run. Lock it. I have no idea what the odds are.
I mean,
but
really,
it's
he is not a no power guy. He's a little more real life good hitter than big power guy, but he is going to hit some home runs. Like, that's not a horrendous call.
He is second he's second place in MLB history for most consecutive games with 2 or more extra base hits.
Oh. How many games was it?
Let's look it up. I don't remember.
Look at TJ with the Lourdes
Right.
Gurriel.
I just
stats.
remember
Stats.
watching it when it was happening.
Okay. Cheese, Jake Fraley on FanDuel. Jake Fraley?
I mean, he's not on my list personally. Ranger Suarez is really good against lefties. You would certainly, if you're stacking the Reds, sure. But on his own, like, Ranger Suarez is like 70, almost 75% ground balls against lefty, which is crazy fantastic. So I don't love him.
Okay.
So Lourdes Gurriel also set the record for most multi-hit games in a row as a rookie in Major League Baseball.
Okay. All right. Well, he's about to set the record
With
for
11, but I'm going to try and figure out what this...
hitting a bomb. Hey, we got another question in, Cheese. This is a DK Cash one. I'm giving this to you. Kirby Ohtani. Oh, that sounds good. Or Molly J-Rod. I mean, that sounds pretty good too.
Yeah, in cash, I would go Molly J-Rod.
Yeah. What are your lunch plans, Cheese?
I don't know yet. But I'm starting. It's time to start thinking about that.
Yeah.
It's a very early morning with these split slates. I don't know. I'm here by myself. Our daughter started sophomore year of college today. She's off learning things. Mrs. Cheese is gone today. So usually when it's just me, I'll pick something that they don't really like, that I consider to be good. For example, KFC.
Oh, yeah.
That might be that's my lean at this point.
KFC. I mean, some good fried chicken is that's pretty solid.
But I'm taking suggestions, so feel free.
Okay. All right. I think today after the show, I'm going to pickle some red onions. I'm going to do some pickling. That way, when I make sandwiches, I can have a little pop of flavor on my sandwiches. Do a little pickling.
I did not know that was in your wheelhouse.
I am I'm new to the pickling game, but I'll do some pickled carrots, some pickled onions. I'm a pickler, Cheese.
Hey, I'm happy for you.
Yeah, I'm a pickler. I was trying to stall to give TJ time to do some research. He's banging away on the Google.
Can't find it. The only thing that comes up when I do it is he had a 11-game multi-hit streak in his rookie season, but that wasn't actually the one I was referring to. It's just a lot harder to find the thing that's a separate multi-hit streak of extra bases. So
Okay. Yeah, it was a valiant effort. We got one more question, and we're going to get out of here a little early. Phil Lewis says, I had a little wake and bake, and I forget who the Spidey bomb and the She-Hulk bomb was.
We got She-Hulk bomb is Franmil Reyes. Spidey bomb is Salvador Perez. And if we get 90 likes, we're 4 away. Let's hit the like button. I'm going to drop the third one, so I'm just going to assume people are clicking that right now, and we're going to get it there.
Yep,
Jose Miranda is going to be the third bomb of the day.
Very nice.
Miranda is one of these guys, like, just quietly really good. I don't know why he hasn't gotten more attention. Like, this is a very good hitter. He's, middle of the lineup on a pretty good team, and yeah, that's a good call.
Okay. This is a random comment from Jason Martinez. Danger Ranger Suarez and a twin stack getting all the money.
Ranger Suarez has an interesting range of outcomes. Like, the Reds are pretty nonsense against lefties, so I do like him. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hey, with that, guys, we've caught up on all the questions. We've given all the weather and all the plays. I think it is time to go pickle some onions. So for Cheese and for TJ and for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.